Hello. We're going to go ahead and get started. The one request is, since these roundtables are being recorded, to please answer or ask a question when you have a mic. Even if you have a loud voice, the microphone works better for the recording. With that, any questions?
So we're just kind of getting our feet wet with QCS. We haven't started much of anything yet. So does anybody have any do's and don'ts when we're just getting started so we don't go too far down the rabbit hole starting off on the wrong foot?
Somebody has some good answers. Come on, you can share with them.
Do it the right way the first time.
Yeah, we need to know kind of what the right way is. That's the point we're at. So
Are you looking to implement all modules or specific modules?
So we just signed agreement with DRI to kind of take us through little by little. So I'm not even sure exactly where we're going to start. I think they're going to kind of guide us, but I kind of want to make sure we're...
The vendor module is the easiest. I think...
Start with supplier?
Start with supplier, and then in your business, you probably go into in process would be what you guys would probably use the most.
Okay.
We're also in the same boat where we're just starting out, and we decided to start with customer complaints and work that way because it seemed the simplest. But I was kind of curious, for those who have been using it, how much you felt you had to customize it, because we feel like it's going to need some work.
I agree as well with that.
Which module?
I think our issue...
All of them.
Our biggest thing that we noticed, and obviously DRI is going to help us through this, whenever we are making inspection plans, Tyler, you might be able to speak to this a little bit better too, we inspect multiple dimensions on the same piece, and it seemed like it's going to be cumbersome for our inspectors to go through 100 and 200 and 1,000 piece lots. And if there's not a quick way to get the data in, it's going to be worse than the paper system we have and slow down our already backed up quality department. Yes, the data will be there and it'll be better, but how much time are we going to be losing unless we come up with like a quick entry or something?
I'd like to see, just in that sense, I'd like to see inspection frequencies in process. You know, do every 10th piece or every 50th piece on the job. I mean, you can't do that today.
Yeah, some of our customers have mandates, I believe, too.
You can do it in the supplier side, but you can't do it in process.
Well, one of the things that you should do right away is when you set up your QC items, make sure that you turn on your receipts so that they automatically generate, and you don't have to create your receipts to do the inspections.
So this is just a setting that needs changed then?
What's that?
It's just a setting that needs changed?
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's just a setting that needs changed to
Yeah,
do
in
the
QC
receipts?
items, you'll see there's different settings in the parameters of QC items. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to do that because otherwise you have to create your receipts right away.
Okay, thank you.
To do the inspections anyways. And then the other thing that we had to do, because everybody's talking about customization, personalization, you can't do multiple failures on a particular part. It's one fail code. So we expanded it so we have a table and we could do multiple fail codes against a particular inspection point. Now, if you set up your test plans, of course, in there you can, pass fail in there too.
Sure. You can do a quick inspection and basically just say, measure to drawing, and then your inspectors know. Obviously, they have to check those critical dimensions, and then they can just inspect it as a batch because we have high quantities as well that we have to inspect 100%. And that's kind of what we do, and it doesn't add any additional time. Like, you're not going to log a test per each part. You get what I'm saying? Like, you would log a test for the batch. If that works for you guys.
Yeah, do it in a batch order.
Yep.
Instead of 100 pieces, you do one
Right.
inspection instead of 100.
Or you could even do, like, if the receiver is 400 or 500 pieces, you could document that you tested those 500 pieces by measuring to the latest drawing, rather than doing like 500 logs of part 1 met the requirement, part 2 met the requirement. Do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, just as a, I guess, a quick brief, we manufacture aerospace parts for like Boeing, Airbus, so small aircraft components. Some are high volume, some are not. So, and we have to inspect all pieces in process and receipt of inspection of the material as well. So we're hoping to get all of that in the sight line at some point.
So
some
we're
parts
into the,
hit
we do
QC maybe 3 or 4 times, so we need to limit the amount of times that we have to put logs into the system. So any way we can limit our work, the better. The amount of time, the amount of logs that we need to put in for each lot needs to be limited. We only have like 6 or 7 people in our QC department, and we got to make sure that we keep up. Currently, the paper system we have right now seems faster than.
What is it that you're logging?
Critical dimensions, past failures. We have parts that get chemically processed. We have parts that get machined, forged, and if we miss a beat, then it might mess up the whole lot. So, yeah.
So we do a lot of ceramic for government, and what we did is we kept our Excel sheet where we did that. We had a complete pass-fail for the lot, but then we used IDM and just put that whole test in there. So when we did our ANSI sample, we'd have records of the lots and the serial numbers that we did. So it's not the best yet. I mean, we've been at this for 5 months, so I feel your pain.
Are you
learning this process?
Do you have tolerances built into your spreadsheet so that it actually?
Yes, it's conditional formatted.
Okay.
Okay, so we're trying to do a dock to stock program with some of our critical and strategic partners that have proven to give us good parts over and over and over again so that we do not have to inspect them. And so what we're trying to do and what I believe needs to happen is that inside the control plan or QC items that you can assign it to be a receipts on vendor or certified. So if I were to add an additional entry for a specific part and assign it to a vendor, so that once it's received, that vendor will then go dock to stock and it will bypass the QC. But if I switch it to a different vendor, then it would still go to QC because it's not that vendor. Okay, and then I could still, inside that form, still do a number of receipts. And so say every either 500 pieces or every 12 receipts or whatever, it still goes to QC to maintain that, their dock to stock program.
Yes, but always have a blank QC item with no vendor assigned that goes to number receipts or something so that you never miss that. You never miss that receipt from a vendor that's not been certified.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We've been burned by that.
No, okay.
So yes, you can create as many QC item vendor relationships as you want. 3 of them could be certified. 1 could be number of receipts. 1 could be something else.
Mm-hmm.
And the trick is, I think what we've done is the paperwork that's generated then basically has a big flag on it that this can go to, this is certified, this needs to go to inspection, this can go right to stock or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, but just be careful with those QC item definitions.
Okay.
That goes
Right.
for you also, setting up and asking for the do's and don'ts. Make sure you always have one that is blank when you set up your QC items. So if it comes in from a different vendor, yes, you guys,
Basically.
if it comes in from a different vendor that you don't already have set up and approved, then it will automatically be triggered that it needs.
Isn't there a utility you can set up to run so that it automatically creates the item QC item records when you create an item?
That's a customization in our environment.
Oh, no, I think there's a utility that Infor
there
has
is.
that lets you
There
run
is.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
So just it's something to set up is it'll automatically create your QC items at whatever. For if you just want supplier to start, then it'll create those QC item records for suppliers that are blank, no vendor, so you don't ever have to worry about that getting missed.
Okay.
Is that functionality in a later build? I don't think we have that, or don't know about it. To automatically create the QC items.
What version are you on?
We're on 10, but we're on a 2022 build. Should be there. Okay. Thank you.
Can
I've got-
somebody, oh, I'm sorry, can somebody tell me where that's at? I don't know who said that was there. I can see you afterwards. Okay, thank you.
So I have a question. We went live in August. We have QCS, and it's very heavily customized for us. One of the biggest issues for our operation is when we receive material. It looks like Sightline's built so that when you receive material, it gets checked by quality, and then you put it away. We sometimes don't get our quality results for a couple days, and we want to be able to store it and put it away. We can't store everything on the dock. The same thing happens with our jobs. We might finish a job, but we still have QC testing that needs to be done that's going to take a couple of days. Has anybody found a solution for this without customization?
We built in dock to stock for every part. So and on receiving parts or purchased parts, there's a 10-day dock to stock regardless of whether or not it goes to QC or not. And then there is a 3 or 7-day dock to stock that is for manufactured items that we manufacture to give QC enough time to go through it. No, it's in the items form.
Meaning it's not available until it gets stocked.
Correct. And then your
Okay.
APS or your planning system will also see that and build it into your planning.
I'm aware of stock to stock APS only takes into account for purchased items, manufactured items. It has no impact. So we tried to do that too, but didn't have any impact if it's a manufactured item, unfortunately.
Do you want that item available in inventory, like after your job and after the receipt, or do you want that in like a QC? Because we've added work centers, like routing for QC or an inspect, and then you move it there at the end of the job or before, at the end of the receipt before the job. And then when that's finished, you close the operation like a normal operation.
Yeah, I don't know where it systematically would be if we were to do that process. So
It would be in WIP at that point still.
it would be where?
In WIP?
But I guess physically. So we physically take it off the line and then we go put it in a rack location. I need that material to be sitting in that rack location.
Yeah, then this wouldn't work. Yeah.
We have a QC hold location that we keep things at that are in Pivot too. Does that make sense?
It does. We would just, or half of our warehouse would be that if that was the case. We're constantly producing and releasing.
We have one that's nettable and non-nettable. We have 2. Yeah, because if it's in a non-nettable location, say it's a purchase item, then it would trigger a purchase.
Okay, we got to think about that a little bit. Thank you.
All right, I have another question.
I have another question. As it pertains to vendor performance, based on our quality scorecards and delivery scorecards. I need data out of the QMS. And I'm wondering if anybody has implemented this with their vendor base and using the data they pull from QMS to automatically send out scorecards on a quarterly or monthly basis. Has anyone done this yet successfully? Does anyone do this in their industry?
I'm also trying to do this right now and do like QBRs and vendor scorecards. And the ones that are coming out of the box are messy and they do not always make sense. And we're really struggling with like on-time delivery right now for purchase parts.
Yeah.
And how it's calculating. And there's parameters and stuff like that that's inside our system that it's docking them. If it gets here too early, it's saying that it's late. And if it's late, then it's late. And if it's not directly on the same day, then it's late. But then if you open a MRR because you're sending it out on the same PO, then that also is doing something. So all of our stuff is crazy messy. And we set up certain things inside like the MRR system and stuff like that differently. And they use fields for stuff that it wasn't the intention. And so now we're trying to go backwards and trying to get everything to kind of cohesively work together. And it has been absolutely mind-boggling and cumbersome.
I'm sorry, what's MRR?
MRR is a material rejection report.
Okay.
Yeah, so like that's connected to your supplier inspect disposition form. So like the receiver, and then you can do a rejection report from there. And then a VRMA is connected to that. And we're also not using the VRMA for transactions either, which is also mind-boggling to me because I'd like to. We're like actually, we're having a receiver unreceive it against the same PO, reopening the PO line, and then we ship it out, and then we receive it again on the same PO, which I'm stopping, but it's making it absolutely impossible to get like on-time delivery figured out because you're reopening a line and then your buyer's going in and messing with all these things, and then they're, changing the promise date. Well, it's like, well, okay, well, now I can't hold them late for anything, but
right.
It's been crazy. But that's also what I'm trying to do is implement these vendor scorecards. So if anybody has them that you have implemented the vendor scorecards, I will gladly take your number, your card,
Yeah,
anything.
let's talk for sure.
Yeah.
It's like we have implemented the vendor scorecards. I don't know if it's 100% live yet, but I know out of box, there's like 2 or 3 different reports. One of the reports, you can actually set up all your criteria to define your late, your on time. And I don't know it off the top of my head. I wish I did. I'm in IT. But there is another form that you can set up, and you can also add your own custom parameters that then you can update those fields on each vendor. So then by vendor, whatever your custom parameters are, you can also add that to your supplier card.
Thank you.
So what you were saying about the VRMAs, we actually tried to use the transactions, and we ended up going to what you're talking about, because if you use unless somebody can help me, and I would love to get away from that because I hate that, but what was happening to us is they would send goods back, they would use the QC VRMA transactions, but then it didn't open a PO back up. So purchasing would go buy new stuff, even though they were going back to the vendor and coming right back because there was no PO set up. And so that's why we had to change to that.
Yeah.
But it's awful. So do you have
I know how to link that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that we can talk afterwards, and
Okay,
I can get your information. And I can show you.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah.
Because that was the reason that they decided to change it. I'm like, no, there has to be a way to do it the right way.
Yeah.
Awesome. I would love that. Thanks.
Hi. So this is the point to the person who was talking about the issue where you produce stuff off the job and it still has quality needs. Like, we have that challenge ourselves where our warehouse just doesn't have the space. So has anyone tried to use the lot restriction codes? So, because what we're looking at, because we're on 9 going to 10, and we were thinking about maybe using the restriction codes where we can still move it around, and we have run into problems of non-nettable, of planning. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, hey, you need to make this whole lot of product, and you're like, no, it's right there in warehouse. We just have to move it. Has anyone tried using that?
That's exactly how we solved ours. It's all customization. As soon as we create the material, it goes on an automatic restriction code. We just put it away in a warehouse on the restriction codes.
Okay, thank you.
Has anybody found a solution for project resourcing or project buying parts? Because when they get delivered, they will immediately go into WIP and they won't go to QC, even though you need them to go to QC if you're buying via like project. Right, that's what we're doing. So if you go into like the planner workbench, you can buy it by. I'm sorry. It creates. I believe it creates the receiver in like supplier inspected position, but it immediately issues it to WIP on the project. So it bypasses QC regardless if the QC item is set up to go to receipts or certified.
Not on projects, but in general production, what I do is I immediately create a second operation that is a QC operation, and I execute the receiver at that point. So it goes into WIP, it issues it to the job, it does the job WIP move, and then the next operation is a QC operation that I drive the QC at that point.
Yeah.
You're cross-referencing a PO line to a project resource, correct?
Both. I'm doing it through either a project resource if it's like a long lead time item, or if we're buying it via on the project. Like, so you can, in material in the planner workbench, you can go and you can search by a specific project in which it will give you all of the demand. And so then when you go and issue that project, it will link it to that project. Not by a resource, but it looks different inside like a PO line. So then once it gets received, it immediately gets issued to that project and to WIP.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is a very detailed question. I think we'd have to look at it.
Okay. I'll give you my card.
Last session, they gave out shots to people who asked questions. Y'all weren't here.
In the last session, that is false.
Aw.
The utility I was talking about for auto creating the QC item records is called the QC item load utility. And you can set it up to run as a background task. It's just a process. So any items that exist currently, you can run it for a range of items, and you can create either supplier in process or RMA type QC item records. And so we just set that to run in the background every day or whatever, and then automatically creates them. It'll only create supplier if it's a purchase part. It'll only create in process if it's manufactured, et cetera. Like, it has enough intelligence for that, but that's about it. And then there's some settings on the parameter forms you can set for what happens when you auto create. So like with supplier parameters, there's an option to set your inspection frequency. So just something to keep in mind.
It was QC item load utility.
Okay, so we cannot do the in-process inspection frequencies. Does anyone have a fix for in-process inspections? Like if you need a notification or you got to stop your line, does anyone have a fix for that? So I have a customer who has to stop their line every hour and test their parts. We have no fix for that. Nothing. No one has any ideas.
How many of y'all are here because you're thinking about using QC and you aren't yet? And has any of this discussion affected your decision today? Okay. Well, the QC product is really great at what it does. And what it does is very straightforward. So. Nobody has any questions? Come on. You already asked a ton of questions.
The floor's open. We got one right here. Oh, we got another one. She's got one.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask because there's no other ones. I have a feeling this is related to our development, though. But occasionally, when we load our QC tests, for some reason, I don't even know how to describe it. The test sequence doesn't always line up with the test itself, and we don't really notice it until we run the tests on the inspect disposition form, and then we have to go back and delete all the tests out of the QC items and the disposition form and reload all of them for them to line up properly. Has anybody else experienced that?
What version?
Version 10?
Are
Yeah,
you
version 10.
multi-tenant cloud?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. We only have one operation with that, although I'm not sure why that would matter. I don't know how that's connected. Yeah, the test sequence, not the operations.
Are you defining the test sequence on the QC item?
Yes.
You said it is customized.
I'm sure there's customization there, yeah.
If I was in for, I would say problem.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, I've never heard that. Some interesting.
Okay, I have a question. I know you guys have said it a couple different times. Do it right the first time, do it right the first time. And I know a little bit about it, and I know some of the things to do, but where do you guys, is there some kind of magical list or something that you guys have that's like, well, make sure you do this and do this in this order, or are there bits and pieces out there somewhere?
No, that's how we make our money. Come on. There is some documentation in there, in the help files, in the overview, especially. I know a lot of people have very mixed opinions about the help,
Right.
but there are those overview articles within the help which are very useful. If I don't know the answer offhand, that's where I start.
Okay.
And for you, I'm not a fan, but it does take you through the basics.
Yeah.
And then lastly, you have your bicycle environment, which you have to go look and see how things are set up.
Yes.
And go break it. So.
Yeah. But it's hard to tell if you go in and break it, you're not really sure exactly what to break to know if you're setting it up right.
That's fair.
And
Yep.
an in4U is for that particular one is not really. Yeah.
I know. So overview.
Right.
in
So
the
that's what I
help
was
and-
just asking.
yeah.
I didn't know if somebody, because it's been mentioned several times in here already, just to make sure you set it up right the first time. And I know some pieces, and we just use a small part of it, and we're getting ready to try to use some more of it. And I just want to make sure that I too am setting it up right the first time, but I don't know what the first time is until till it breaks and I try to fix it.
Yeah. So fortunately, that's basically what we do on a high level, is set it up in the way we think is going to work for us and test the heck out of it and see what, if anything, doesn't work, and then iterate through that.
just know what you want to get out of it before even taking the step. We have some users, our inventory control and quality team, they're trying to fill everything out in the entire form, and it's, whatever forms they are, corrective action, whatever it is, and half of it they're not going to look at ever again, and they're just kind of wasting their time in some of it. So just know what you want to get out of it.
Yes. Like if you don't need to keep track of your gauge calibrations, don't use that functionality. You don't need it. If you don't need to specify this dimension for this part with a median, short, long dimension, maybe don't make that an actual test. Just make a standard test, which is pass fail. I looked at it, it passed. I looked at it and I compared it to the drawing, it passed. That if that suffices, then great. If it doesn't, then you can certainly get more detailed as you go. In general, start broad and then work your way in. Obviously, sometimes you have requirements such as aerospace, which I've done, which is pain, and there's no way around it. Do use things like Metatoyo's CPM, where you can use it as a wedge reader and just read that stuff straight in to the fields and sight lines. Set your tab order so that all they get to do is measure, click, measure, click, measure, click. If you have CMM machines or automated CMM machines, you can do similar type things, right? So things to make your life easier from an input perspective may be good options.
And
So
don't try to change the system to meet your quality manual. Change your quality manual. Change your quality manual. I'm telling you, because you're going to try to change the system to mimic exactly what your quality manual is telling you to do. Just be ready to change your quality manual. Quality's not going to be happy about it, but it's important to know that you need to be a little bit more flexible. It has everything you need to inspect for government.
It's kind of like an introduction to anything in Sightline. When people move to a new system, people want to keep the old stuff and then make the new thing like the old thing. Customizations, whatever it might be, then you're in a mess in the future. Then that person leaves who wanted all those customizations. Next person comes in and has to redo everything. So, yeah, just with everything, just know what you're going into, know what it is you want to get out of it.
We're trying. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. I think you were first.
We're just starting out, and we're just taking it really slowly. I don't know if that's good advice, but we just want to make sure that we don't have to go back and correct a bunch of things that we find out later that we're doing incorrectly. And that's, I guess, it.
Well, I think they said it earlier too. Don't try to attack every one of the modules right off the bat. The supplier one is the easiest one. Stick to that. Do your receiving inspections, get that down, and move through that slow. When you go into production, you start doing in-process inspections and things of that nature. Then it can get pretty ugly fast. So set up your gauges if you want to set up your gauges, but take it slow. Don't you have to certify your gauges already. Might as well use it. And get used to it.
I'm getting the gist that this is a trial and error situation.
Well, I think it's take it slow because
But-
it has so many legs.
Right. But keep in mind, I'm sitting right next to my CFO, so don't kill me. There any consultants around here or anybody that you work with that could help us through the beginning steps, figure out what we need to do it right the first time? I'd rather make sure that we get off on the first step the right way rather than get ourselves into a hole where it'd be hard to get us out.
So vendors are going to be identified with a yellow lanyard.
Thank you.
A couple of them have been talking.
Understand? Yeah.
So just that. I just wanted to say that.
I think you said you guys were DRI customers? Yeah. So what we did was we booked a certain amount of hours with DRI. We went through and we ran into a couple roadblocks and didn't really know what a field did. A lot of them are arbitrary and you can set those up, reason codes and things like that. So instead of creating those before, we got them on for a couple hours and they just said, we're on the right track. And it opened our eyes to see that certain things don't have to be so precise. A lot of it's open-ended. and up to you. But it just tells you if you're on the right track or not.
I'll say too. We just went live recently. I reread the entire QCS manual about a month or two ago. It was really helpful. I wish I would have done it well before then, but I also am not sure if I would have been able to understand all the information well before we got into it either. So give it a shot, I guess. Maybe read it a couple of times.
Yes. And just for anybody who is moving to cloud or not familiar with the cloud, those manuals are now in that help documentation. And it's in that web page version. If you don't like it, if you pick the PDF on the top right, this isn't just for QCS, this is for any of them, you can click that and download the old school manual if you want that. If you insist on having paper, because paper. You can print it out and use your marker on it like accountants do.
So just remember, if you have a consultant, lean on them. My consultant happens to be standing in the back of the room, and him and his guide team, we don't know what we don't know when you're going into this. Our CFO was the head BPO on pushing this forward, so I feel you on that. But he understands the pain you're going through, and this quality thing, I'm be honest, I'm a scheduler, but I basically set up how our production was going to go through, and that included quality because, well, I've been at my company 20 years, and I'm the know-it-all, basically. But you don't know what you don't know. You're going to have mistakes. If you have a consultant, you lean on them, because I will tell you, Aaron and Guide have led us through deep waters in the first 5 months. So.
Does anyone deal with in-process testing needing to be printed out on the customer's certificate of conformance? Has anyone solved for that? Yeah, it's like it comes up a lot in aerospace, right? Yeah.
Right.
So
we do, and yeah, it's challenging sometimes. So, do you have a specific question about it?
did you have to enhance the system to make that happen, or did you figure out a way to make the in-process testing just show up?
So we are on-prem, so we're able to query the database and get the information. And,
cheater.
And we have, we have supplier receipts that go into jobs that create sub-assemblies that then get issued to other jobs, and then we've got to be able to cert all the way back through the entire process. Right. So yes, we have, and yes, it's complex. So, but
yeah. So if you're doing that as a part of your QC customer process, we've done like an extra little mod that we add a field to the vendor customer contracts form that gives them their COA template to use for that. If you're doing that as a part of the in-process QC side and you cross-reference your jobs to the customer order, blah, 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 then that's a little bit different, but I've done that as well.
We do
but
that
it is a mod.
That's the problem. Is they don't want to link jobs to customers,
right?
But they still need the in-process testing to show up on the cert.
Yeah.
So we don't use the customer module. We basically create our own report.
Right. That's what we've done too. I was just hoping they could, roll that back out.
Would be good if the data were all somewhere you can click on.
Are there any shop track users who use the QCS in process part of that? If so, it doesn't really have to be here, but I'd like to talk to you about that.
You do mean specifically shop track?
Yeah, shop track. I'm not sure if we're going to use it, the QCS part of that. We already have shop track. Nobody?
Circling back to what you guys were just talking about. Sorry. So we're on GovCloud, and when we have to deliver something, I have a QC guy that literally takes them 3 weeks to go back through every single lot and go and pull the QC data or the CFCs that we had to acquire for those parts. And so my receiver at Purchase Parts, they will upload into IDM to the supplier inspect disposition, and IDM is a beautiful thing until it's not. And so you'll drag and drop and you'll put it in there, and then it looks like it's in there, and then it's not in there. And then there will be times where I get asked to go and get a CFC from a vendor that it delivered like a year and a half ago. You know what I mean? To get like a reprint of something. Is there any solution that you guys have that is collecting all of that, or is this just this painful process?
If I followed all of that, then we're cross-referencing the IDM document to the material lot.
Yes, and where
Not-
it's issued. Yeah.
Yeah, not to the receiver necessarily, but to
material
the
lot.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we can leverage things like the lot traceability report and so on and so forth to link those lots together to produce those documents in bulk at the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
But if that's what you're already doing, it's not working for you, then I don't know.
I don't think we're doing that. We're doing it manually. So if there is something that can do that and go and collect all of those, I need to know that.
Well, setting up your documents in IDM that are cross-referenced to a lot it's not something you just turn on. You got to go do that. But that's all.
So maybe it's not connected to the lot. It's connected to the receiver. Then is where it's getting connected to, because in supplier inspect disposition, it's getting thrown in there, and then that lot number that's assigned to that is what we're tracking and going and trying to look at all that
If
information.
that's true, then that adds a whole layer of complexity that you may not need, or
Yeah.
maybe you do. I mean, there's specifics here, but explore linking the IDM document to the lot, not the receiver, or both, but to the lot at a minimum.
I have to ask, if the lot goes away, does that document link go away then? Or?
It does not. That's stored as an attribute on the IDM document.
Okay.
So like a purchase order IDM has an attribute called, like, attribute 2 is purchase order number. So on a document type for lot material info, your attribute 2 would be lot number, right? Okay. And then if your lot number in Sightline goes away, or it has zero quantity or whatever have you, that doesn't change your IDM document unless you write a workflow to do it.
IDM will still.
Yeah, it's
know
just an
about it.
attribute reference on the IDM document.
Yeah, because we don't use the QCS or anything. We attach those documents to our purchase order.
Sure.
So that's how we do it right now. But I mean, the concern
Yeah, I mean,
always is that
if you
those
don't need to
lots go
maintain that
away.
traceability in Sightline, then it'll have that lot number on that IDM document in perpetuity.
Okay, cool.
Use more than one parameter, like on the receipts, if it's in process. Can't it be against the job and the work center?
I mean,
or
what we're
job?
talking about is somewhat custom, because this isn't something we can just turn
No,
on.
for her, because
Oh.
on IDM, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it could be just more than one parameter that it's associated to. And in process, it could be against the job and the operation. If it's the receipt that you're going to collect that document on.
Yeah, so obviously there's nuances that you'd have to work through for various scenarios. Right. And I can't conceive of all of them sitting here.
But that's something.
Yeah, in general, if you're trying to go back and collect all the documents related to your C's of C's on receipt, blah blah blah, all the way up through the chain, then IDM to lot number. Lots is how you do that in Sightline. So from that point, you just have to decide how you're going to go back and find those documents. If those documents are in IDM, that document is cross-referenced to a Sightline lot.
Yeah, but that's if you pre-lot. If there's no lot and you're building something, there's no lot yet, unless you pre-lot.
Right.
You gotta
So
pre-lot.
that's a nuance we'd have to work through, right? So those are details.
Right.
No one else. No more questions. Everybody is shell shocked. Come on.
Is anybody looking at Infor MES, which I asked because there's quality functionality in there?
Prophecy.
Okay, nobody.
Prophecy. I can't say that.
Yeah.
Can't say that.
This side of the room is really quiet. Has anybody got any questions?
Since they asked about other products, has anybody ever used IQM with the visual side? And I heard there was somebody that had Sightline integrated to IQM or wanted to, but it's got Mongoose. It's built on Mongoose, but it's different than the QCS. Nobody? I don't know. I used it for a number of years, and I customized and built a lot of SCAR reports and a lot of the Infor Flex reports for various components, the non-conformance. So it was just the full circle, starting with the customer feedback, and then you get into your with the non-conformance, and then there's modules obviously for the calibration, the testing, different characteristics in building that in. I was using it for as a consultant for a couple different clients, and just had a number of requests for reporting because it was for the visual product and it was an add-on. I was using it in aerospace. They went from, I think, 600 reports when it was a Visual Basic modifiable product, and then when they switched it from the VQ to an IQM add-on, the next version of Visual, then they made it on Mongoose platform, and it was a much better product there. They went down from like 600 reports down to 100 reports. So a lot of customers said, "Hey, this doesn't fill the needs that we have." So as a consultant, it was great because make money, right? You need a report, I can do that for you. So, but I like the IQM product just for my experiences with quality. I think I'm still trying to get my head around the QCS windows and forms. It's just a little bit different. But again, I had a number of customers that had talked about. I think XA is integrated with IQM, and I know there were other Infor products that they were integrating with IQM, and I had heard a customer that was interested in the quality component looking at IQM.
Yeah, I don't know offhand. I mean, obviously Infor has like Infor CRM and Infor WMS and so on that all integrate with Sightline to some level, depending. But I don't know about IQM.
Okay, nobody in this
I'm
room,
not
though.
seeing anybody else
So-
with enlightenment in their eyes either. So
Yeah, it's outside of my wheelhouse, but did it do like better document tracking in terms of, you think? Our quality guy is looking at different packages, and like he doesn't know if I know like version control was something like item rev and stuff like that was something that had come up before with other packages.
I'm not familiar enough with
Okay.
the QCS to compare it, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, oh no, that's okay. And that was something like corrective actions and RMA revs and how that integrates in with the document management, and if anyone kind of the documents that are generated by the ISO process within the QC process, and if anybody does that, it doesn't seem like it's really a core functionality at QCS. It's something you can kind of work through with it, but whereas there's other packages where it's kind of a specialty of theirs. So I didn't know if that was what that particular package did, maybe. But.
Who asked about Shop Track? Come see me after.
Does anybody have the need for single lot supply on BOM items? Meaning, I need 1,000 pounds to make this widget, but it has to come from one lot. Yeah.
One or two things, So for us, sort of. I mean, everything is one lot when it's a piece of steel, and then when we cut it up, issue it to a job, we cut it up. So we're not issuing more than one lot. So sort of, I guess.
I just bring it up because APS, you can't. If you have 1,200 pounds across 5 lots, APS says you have enough, right? It doesn't tell you need to order more.
From a planning perspective, I understand.
That's where
that
we're.
issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was looking
That
for
is a true aspect.
I was looking for endorsements.
Yeah.
And the APS
On
roundtable
enhancement
is
request.
tomorrow at 11.
Well, it's related to quality.
Yeah, we have about 10 minutes left if anybody else has any questions.
Those guys don't have any questions. Just FYI.
They have been
they're
very
leaving.
quiet.
Oh.
All right, so this may be a little bit of a fringe, but so aerospace, GovCloud, we're using QCS, but just a little bit. Got a scenario where we may have continual production of a particular item, low rate, maybe one a week, and I require a process that is part of that build be tested every so often. I don't know which jobs will be associated with it. Need to make a test coupon, requires materials, which requires planning. And we're not using QC for any of that, but I'm looking for somebody that has experience with that kind of a solution, because right now we're doing it the hard way. We're going to force schedule test coupons weekly. The data goes into the job for the coupon, and then I issue it back to the jobs to ensure it's done. Painful, but there's got to be a way to use a more elegant solution.
So on the aerospace implementations that I've been involved in, we actually built these processes to produce paperwork, right? The part just happened to come along, and I'm not sure I followed every detail of your question, but so you're running your QC on a process on occasion, not on a part that the process produces. Right. So it's been a while. In that case, we had a separate job that was essentially just one operation that was a QC operation that kicked off for the process every once in a while. And we issued, that job manufactured an item, which was a coupon.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
And we consumed that coupon into, like, 1/10 of that coupon was consumed into each of those material items that you were making, or whatever the ratio is.
Yeah, maybe 4 this week, maybe 10 next week.
Okay. Well, something.
That's, yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we did it. It's been a while, so I may be misremembering, or, too much beer. But yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Was how we did it. And I'm not necessarily saying that's right for you, but as a suggestion.
Yeah, because it's all driven off customer requirements coming. It's certainly we have some that are quantity based, part quantity based, but others are process and time frequency based, independent of part build quantity. And it's problematic when the materials used for the coupon, planning that, as silly as that sounds, both labor as well as material, it's critical. So
the materials used for the coupon,
for the coupon,
yeah.
not the part.
So the coupon is an item, and you have a BOM to quote manufacture that coupon, it might be a co-product job. You might get additional pieces of paperwork related to that. That's not necessarily a QC process, although the QC process could be also included within parts of that, right? That's just a job BOM type deal.
So there's not a more elegant solution there then?
If that's what you're doing today, no.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest. Yeah. We all about reality up in here.
Process that we're testing. It is at a work center. Yes. And so you complete the coupon, you don't know how many you need to issue back out until you get to the end of the time period.
Does that work center do other things?
Yes. Yep. Yep. So, yeah.
Yeah. Every aerospace one I've done, it's just there's so many details, and you go from being able to just fill out pieces of paper to you need to actually discreetly do things in whatever ERP, and it makes it hard. No one else? Please. We don't hate you. You're great. You're bringing liveliness to this.
Genetic.
Everybody else over here is asleep.
We are using gauges, and so those have to go out for Cal. And how is anybody else sending those out for Cal? Right now, we're doing a purchase rec, and I'm making the QC admin fill out a purchase rec for the gauges for them to go out. So she manually is having to add them there. Is there any other process that is around? Bueller? No? Good? Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm following, because usually you're just buying a service to calibrate. Are you saying that you actually want to track shipping those gauges and receiving those gauges? Is that what you're saying?
My quality manager does want to do that, yes.
Okay. Well.
And he wants to send them out via a PO and then get certifications for those gauges when they come back in. And yeah, so it has to go out on a PO and get received.
Generate a PM for it basically. As soon as the PM triggers, the maintenance manager hands it to the QC manager to be completed.
Not in Sightline, though.
Not in Sightline, right.
Give him a fake item number and tell him that is the gauge.
So I wanted to link the gauges to a non-inventory item.
Yeah, they can be a fixed asset for sure.
Yeah, and so put it in a non-inventory item and then just have him add it to a purchase rec from that way. Yeah. But I wasn't sure if there was something that was already out of the box that was like doing that. Okay, thank you. Yeah, yeah.